All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, folks. We are less than a week away from a time where the Minnesota Vikings could potentially make franchise history by selecting a quarterback in the first 10 picks of the NFL draft. They currently have the 11th pick in the first round and the 23rd pick from the Houston Texans in the first round. And the rumor around the street is that they are going to be trading up to select a quarterback, or even if they don't trade up, whatever happens, they're going to be selecting a quarterback. And for some weird reason, every narrative that I read, every narrative that I hear is that, like, oh, Minnesota sensed that they need a rebuild just because of the loss of Kirk Cousins and guys like Jordan Hicks and, Danielle Hunter and yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking to myself, like, no, they're not rebuilding Jack Diddley's squad. Like, they're preparing for the future. But when you look at the Minnesota Vikings roster, you're not thinking that this is going to be like a 5-year rebuild, even if they stand pat at pick number 11 and select a guy like Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. But you guys get what I'm saying here. Kirk Cousins departed, went to Atlanta. Minnesota, new young head coach Kevin O'Connell, great offensive genius mind with Justin Jefferson, last year's rookie Jordan Addison. This is a new, fresh breath of air for the Minnesota Vikings franchise, and all they need to do is get the quarterback right. Now, I know that there's a lot more other things that need to, be set in place in order for them to become, true Super Bowl contenders. But you guys get what I'm saying here. It's quarterback, quarterback, quarterback at this point, because it's Sunday, April 21st, and we are less than a week away from the start of the NFL draft, where the Minnesota Vikings have 2 freaking first-round picks. So before we get into today's video, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Even though I am a Green Bay Packers fan, we post a ton of Vikings content on this channel. I appreciate and love every single one of you who supports this page. Appreciate you guys so much. If you could try and get this video to 500 likes in the dead of the offseason, it would mean the world to me. So the key losses for the Minnesota Vikings, before we get into some draft talk here: Kirk Cousins, right? Marcus Davenport, Jordan Hicks, Danielle Hunter, Greg Joseph, Alexander Mattison, KJ Osborne, DJ Wonnum. They're just changing the tides, right? They're just going to build and create a new culture with a fresh new quarterback, and it makes all the sense in the world. Kirk Cousins, phenomenal QB, did what needed to be done, but unfortunately tore his Achilles in week 8, week 9 of last year's regular season. So you're coming off this 13-win season where you win the NFC North, and now you're pivoting. And I just think it's genius, because the rookie Jordan Addison really turned some heads there last season. And you've got one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL, in Justin Jefferson. So in free agency, they picked up Blake Cashman, Sam Darnold, Jonathan Greenard, Shaq Griffin, my running back Aaron Jones, Andrew Van Ginkel, Jihad Ward, Jonah Williams. They made a bunch of moves. And I'm looking at a couple of these moves in particular, like Blake Cashman, Jonathan Greenard, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Aaron Jones. And I'm thinking to myself, how on earth is this team rebuilding? How on earth? They still have over $15 million in cap space, and I get it. You lost your best edge rusher, one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League, in Danielle Hunter. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty of things, it makes all the sense in the world that you would pay a guy coming off a career season who was begging for a starting role, begging for a breakout season in Houston last year. Same thing applies to Blake Cashman. And you're revamping your defense, and you're getting younger, you're getting cheaper, you're getting more athletic, you're getting more versatile. And it's everything that Brian Flores wants on his defensive side. So when we look at offensively, I want to go through a couple of things. So Ben Volen, NFL reporter, dropped the article on some things in the NFL draft. He expects quarterbacks won't go 1 to 4. He doesn't even think they're going to go 1 to 3. So how that applies to Minnesota, I'm glad you asked. Here are the direct quotes from that article. The Vikings wouldn't mind trading out of number 3. The Vikings want May more than the Patriots do, and he also suggests that J.J. McCarthy might fall until the 10th pick or so. This is perfect for Minnesota. I don't think they're going to walk away with Drake May. I don't think they're going to walk away with Jaden Daniels. To be quite honest with you, I genuinely think J.J. McCarthy is the perfect fit for the Minnesota Vikings. Folks, Kevin O'Connell, one of the most underrated, just recognized young head coaches in the National Football League. This guy's genius offensive mind is seriously so underappreciated outside of Minnesota Vikings fans. You know, your starting quarterback goes down halfway through the season and you still hang in there until the end of the year. So this Vikings roster is very good. And once again, you have one of the best wide receiver or just receiving trios in the National Football League in Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and tight end TJ Hawkinson. Now, I get it. The loss of guys like, KJ Osborne are unfortunate. And it's also important to keep in mind that Minnesota, let's say they do trade up into the top 10, somewhere between, pick 3 to 10, whatever it's going to be. You don't have a pick until the 4th round. Now, with that being said, the Vikings do have 2 4th-round selections. They have 2 5th-round picks. They've got a 6th-round pick, and they've got 2 7th-round picks. So when I look at their, kind of team needs, none of it's very pressing outside of the quarterback position. Like, yes, I'd love some help on the defensive line. Yep. I'd love some help in the cornerback room. I'd love some help with a wide receiver 3. I'd love some help with the interior offensive line. But at the end of the day, the Vikings still very much so have a playoff caliber roster. And whether it's going to be Jaden Daniels or JJ McCarthy, it's all going to come down to the quarterback selection. And the reason I'm not pressed, the reason I'm not tight about this is because of Kevin O'Connell. And it's because of Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and new addition Aaron Jones. It's all of these offensive playmakers, a really solid, consistent, reliable offensive line. Yes, they do have some holes. They do have some flaws, but it is what it is. They'll address it through the draft. They're just a very well-run organization in my mind, and they're doing a perfect pivot similar to the Houston Texans of last season, where if you get your actual true franchise quarterback, folks, none of this matters. The defensive line depth, the cornerback depth, the interior offensive line depth, none of this really matters in the grand scheme of things if their quarterback truly hits like we think it's going to be. And when I look at a guy like JJ McCarthy, I'm thinking he's a younger, cheaper, more athletic Kirk Cousins. They had very similar collegiate careers. I really think JJ McCarthy will fall outside of the top 5 in this year's NFL draft. And Minnesota, in general, with their 2 first-round selections, like that would get the job done for a pick number 4. That would get the job done for a pick number 5 between Arizona and the Chargers. So I'm looking at this Vikings team, and I'm just thinking, if their quarterback hits, your future is absolutely set, because I just like what they're doing at the GM position. You got a great GM who knows what he's doing, all right? So that's it for today. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But Vikings fans, let me know who's your quarterback of the future. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, and we will see you